Hey, what's up guys? My name's Grant Borland, and today I kind of want to take a walkthrough of my new track Weave. If you've been following me on any social media platforms or even YouTube, you may have seen that last week I released a new single called Weave. It's cool, it's a fun track. It's kind of like an ambient, neoclassical almost kind of song, kind of minimal, that sort of deal. So today I kind of want to take a walkthrough of that. If you haven't heard the track before, I suggest going back and listening to it, and then maybe come and refer to this video to kind of look more in depth. I'm not gonna go ahead and play the whole track through like I normally would with walkthroughs, just because the song's out, the music video's out, so and I want people to kind of listen to that. So we'll kind of jump into the actual production of the track itself. But yeah, go do that. Maybe while you're there, if you're listening on Spotify, drop a follow there. I don't really like asking people to follow me on platforms, but I think it'd be kind of cool to build up a little following on Spotify, which would be kind of cool, because I've kind of noticed some things and I've learned some things with releasing the single, and I can see that it could be pretty beneficial having followers on that platform as far as pushing out new songs go. So Release Radar is your friend. Anyways, let's jump right into the track. So here we go. It's not a huge session, 39 tracks or whatever, but like I said, it's kind of a more ambient, minimal sort of thing. The strings and piano really kind of drive the thing, and then there's kind of some minimal electronics, as far as synthesizers and drum kits go, and yeah. So anyways, let's start out with the piano stem. I've got this soloed now. This is my piano stem. It's kind of made up of about 6 different piano takes. So I've kind of got the main piano sound, which is this King's upright piano, which was a piano library from Dan King. I use that in combination with the Olafur Arnold's felt piano, and that kind of sounds like this. So you get it. That was when I wrote that little piano melody or whatever you want to call it, that kind of set the tone for the rest of the track. I kind of started this piece off just sitting at the piano, kind of sketching out little ideas, and I kind of came up with that, and I thought it kind of sounded pretty unique. I think when I write songs, I try to push myself to do at least one thing that I haven't done before. And I feel like prior to writing this song, I would kind of go for similar chord patterns and structures on the piano. So I was kind of trying to push myself outside of that boundary. And then I kind of dressed it up with this Stratus library. It's a piano library as well, but it kind of does little rhythmic things. So I kind of added it almost as like a little twinkle under the piano to kind of make it sound a little bit more interesting. And that sounds like this. So yeah, just a little bit more character, a little bit more interest to the piano section itself. This track starts out really light. It starts out with, some light string patches as well as a really soft synthesizer drone. And then you kind of have these little twinkling piano elements before, the actual melody is introduced. So yeah, that's kind of the piano section. And it really just continues. It builds a little bit. This song is kind of just a build. It starts out light, and then even though it sounds minimal, I think that the mix gets pretty thick by the end of it with, the full string section and then a lot of the low end from the synthesizer. I'll touch more on that in a minute, but the piano kind of stays as the backbone throughout the piece as other things kind of weave through and build. So that was kind of the whole philosophy behind the track too. So moving on, let's listen to some of the strings. As you can see, the strings make up a good chunk of this track. So let me go ahead. I'll play kind of the the back end, or the climax of the track, if you will, and it sounds like this. The way the track starts out, it starts out with this circular patch, which is almost similar to like string harmonics, like this kind of sound. Kind of airy, that sort of thing. So if you see, I kind of liked introducing, you know, some cello and stuff. I have like these harmonies going on between the cellos, and I thought that kind of opened it up nice, and that kind of sounds like this. Harmonies. I could just listen to that string stem all day, honestly. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, the string sound is made up of a bunch of different sample libraries. I mean, the cellos I'm using, I've got the Cinematic Studio Solo Strings, or whatever it's called, something like that. Yeah, Cinematic Studio Solo Strings, this guy. So I'm using the cello a lot, and then I also use some of the Tina Guo cello by Cinesamples. I feel like it was just nice to have two different sounding cellos. They both sound fairly expressive, I think, so I thought that they kind of worked well together. Yeah, a little Bohemian violin too. I think that's a really expressive instrument. Actually, if I just solo that on its own. And then, you know, from there, some of the textural stuff, you know, I've got the chamber evolutions from Spitfire Audio, the Olafur Arnold stuff. So you kind of get these little... It's kind of got that little tremolo or little stutter sound, which I thought was really nice. It kind of sounded like the music was coming to life with those types of things. And then I liked using, like, what do I've got? Violin Untamed. I use that as more of a textural layer as well, which is kind of this... So, you know, just little bits of texture like that go a long way, you know. There wasn't live players on this session, so, you know, to kind of introduce more life to the piece, I thought adding little, like, textural bits like that really kind of made it, you know, gave it life and, you know, sounded cinematic, kind of sold the whole vibe of the track. And then there's also, you know, some rhythmic stuff too, like the Bartok, like, snaps or whatever, and, you know, some of the pizzicato... Or not pizzicato, I think spiccato stuff. I've got this string thing from Cycles 2, these movements, and that kind of just added a little bit of rhythm to the string section too, which sounds like this. I thought that was a nice sound to be layered in with the rest of the string section. I've also got this little woodwind patch from the Pool Project, another textural thing. getting out of the string section, moving on to some other textures. Sounds like this. I mean, a lot of these things are pretty quiet. I'll turn it up a little bit in the video, so maybe it's not even an issue. Maybe you can hear it, but you know, I have a lot of soft, quiet things too. But I think, you know, it really still adds to it. You know, kind of makes this mix a little bit more dense. Let's talk about some of the synths too, like some of this kind of stuff. Those are both from Stratus, so really cool rhythmic stuff. I like using Stratus for that kind of thing. I also went ahead and added this really low, I mean, it's this Logic, you know, monophonic synth, pretty basic, but I use this to really fill out the low end. And if you're listening on your phone, you might not be able to hear it, but this is what the low end sounds like. Really deep stuff. I was really kind of torn about that. I didn't know if the low end was a little bit overkill. I've kind of gone through maybe 6 or 7 versions of this song before I kind of landed on what I liked. But ultimately I decided I really wanted the bass synth to kind of really pop out. It was more of a statement kind of thing. Something new for me too, but I thought it really kind of added a little bit of oomph or emphasis on the back end of the track. So I did that. I was listening to artists like Peter Sandberg, I believe his name is. He's got this song called Deep, which was used in, it's probably been used in a lot, but it was used in a scene of Stranger Things, and I thought it was a very moving piece. And I really liked the way he did the low end in that track, so that was kind of maybe loosely inspired in this track. So I was kind of trying to play around with some of those concepts because I was really blown away by that track specifically. So moving on, let's listen to the percussion, kind of a electronic percussion kind of thing. That's what this sounds like. So I got a little bit of everything. What do I have? Some of the Spitfire stuff. Yeah, the Media Toolkit. Some of the wood hits. Those knocking sounds. The snare I bounced out. What was it though? Oh, is this the... Yeah, okay, Pool Project stuff. The drum machine. I used this Jules Jaden snare, which was... I don't even know. It's kind of just a pretty blank Contact GUI. But those sounded good. The kick was from the Pool Project as well. What else we got? Oh, we got some cymbal swells and some whooshes as well. You know, the percussion section's really minimal, really simple. You know, but I didn't want to use a classic drum kit. I wanted to keep it electronic to kind of complement some of the synthesizer stuff. Give it that electronic edge, kind of that blend between the organic strings and piano, and then this minimal electronic side to the track too, which was cool. I've got some drones from Omnisphere, nothing too interesting. I mean, there's not much to it. I also recorded my ukulele, which is kind of interesting. Just a textural thing too. I mean, it's one of those things that's really soft, might be hard to hear, but it sounds like this. You know, it's not even played perfectly, but I kind of thought that added character to it. Kind of almost, I almost treat it like a pulse in a way, you know, kind of keeping things moving. And then the final bit is my voice. I used my voice and made a choir out of my voice for this and really processed it. And unfortunately, I've only got the vocal stem here, so we can't really dive into each individual vocal take. But maybe you'd thank me for that because I'm not much of a singer. At least I don't think so. But that's kind of what this stem sounds like. Very processed, but kind of sends it over the top as the drums kick in and the back end gets more full. We have this vocal choir. It sounds like this. So that's the vocals. If it sounded like the volume was dipping, it's because I have it side chained to the kick drum. So every time that kick comes through, the volume of the vocals kind of quickly dips, just to kind of make room for it and kind of make that pop out a little bit more. So that's that. But yeah, that's the vocals. I thought that was kind of fun. You know, like I said, I went through maybe 6 or 7 different versions of this song before landing on, you know, the final version I liked. And the vocals were kind of one of the final details of this piece. You know, I would listen to it in my car when I was driving around, and I just kept hearing vocal melodies in my head. And so, you know, that was nice. Sometimes it's nice to take your songs and just listen to them outside of the studio. You know, you don't have all this, you know, you don't have the DAW you're looking at. You know, you're not thinking so much about, you know, oh, what sample library do I go through? If you take your pieces out into the world and just kind of listen to it, you know, on a day-to-day basis, you'll start to think differently. You'll come up with fresh ideas, and that's kind of what this whole vocal stem came from. It was from kind of taking a step back from the piece for a while and just listening to it with, you know, a fresh set of ears, and I kind of came up with this final idea to kind of do this, you know, massive choir with stacking many layers of my voice. So I mean, I probably used quite a few different reverbs. I mean, I think some of the ones I probably went to would be Eventide Black Hole. I probably used the Valhalla Shimmer reverb. It sounds like there's some of that shimmer in there too. Kind of good for the ambient stuff. I'm sure I used a lot of other reverbs, but those are probably some of the reverbs that really kind of sold the ambient thing, kind of really pushed it back in the mix. But yeah, that's basically the track. I mean, that's kind of a quick little walkthrough, or I don't know if I'd say quick, but that's a walkthrough of the track. Pretty simple, but I think it's a pretty cool sounding piece, and I'm pretty happy with it. So like I said, guys, you know, if you haven't listened to the track, I'd recommend going and giving that a listen or a stream, whether it's on YouTube on this channel, or if you want to go, you know, listen to it on like Spotify or Apple Music, or it's really on all the streaming sites. You know, these days, you know, you run it through a distributor and they put it on a bunch of different platforms, even ones you weren't really familiar with. So yeah, it's just about everywhere, I think. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.